Hey guys, how's it going? Robert Warshak here, and at the end of the last video talking about the rogue nerfs, I was like, man, they never buff cards. We haven't seen anybody buff cards in this game like ever. A day later, long behold, 18 cards that really don't see a lot of play were buffed, which is insane. They've never done something like this with this many cards ever. So this is super exciting, and I'm actually really looking forward to trying out some new stuff now that some cards that should, like, they were cool cards, but they just weren't statted and or had the appropriate mana cost. So before anything, if you log in during the Rise of the Mech event, which again I believe starts on the 22nd of May, which would be tomorrow if you're watching this video as soon as it gets released, which all of you of course are, and you get this free legendary golden mech guy. It's a 3-mana 2/3 magnetic echo death rattle summon 2 1/1 microbots. So that's actually not too bad. This mech is actually, like, I honestly thought the mech they would give out would be pretty trash. I mean, the fact that you can play about 3 of these guys if you have 9 mana because he has echo. The fact that he has magnetic means you can go face with him almost immediately if you have another mech on the board, and the fact that he summons 2 1/1 microbots. I mean, it's just a pretty fair card, so everybody's gonna get a golden copy of that guy. Beyond that, let's get to the card changes. Well, I guess we'll just like scroll through them. Like, I was trying to like hide it, but unfortunately due to the page size, like, we'll see 2 at a time then. So Gloop Sprayer is going from 8 mana to 7 mana. So this basically makes them easier to play early on in the game. So if you have the board, you have a good 5 or 6 drop minion, you can throw them out earlier. It also allows you to, let's say, have 10 mana, you can weave in a 3 mana. Just at 8 mana, it was really awkward. On top of that, it was hard for if you were playing, like, for example, Lucent Bark Druid, and then you wanted to Gloop Sprayer, or you wanted to like healing touch and Gloop Sprayer, you couldn't. That combination wasn't available because he cost 8 mana. Now that he does, you can actually use him alongside the healing touch, because normally the reason I bring up Lucent Bark is because Gloop Sprayer is found predominantly in that deck right now. There's not really a ton of other decks that run the Gloop Sprayer. So it just allows a combo in the deck that he sees the most play in that wasn't available before. But fair change, like, he's a really good card. It's just 8 mana was very expensive. 7 mana is slightly cheaper. We'll see if he sees play. I mean, I think he's a really good card. He basically can summon 2 huge minions if I have him out on the board. Technically kind of a win more, but he's like one of those cards that, like, if you play him and he, like, you hit like 1 or 2 sizable minions, like, how do you lose unless your opponent has like a Twisting Nether? Taking a look at Mulch Muncher, this one's a little interesting. They didn't change the stats or his ability at all. They just made him go from 10 mana to 9 mana, and he gets reduced, and his normal ability, he costs 1 less for each friendly Trant that dies this game. So I guess if you use like 1 Forest Aid, right, and then it summons 5, right now he'd cost 4, and then you could weave that in with like a 6 drop or like a 5 drop on turn 10. But I don't think this change is actually that big to Mulch Muncher, unless I'm missing something huge, like reducing him from 10 to 9 when he already gets discounted most of the time anyway. I mean, yeah, it's fat. He gets, you can make him 0 cost faster, but he wasn't like not played because he cost 10 mana. Like, if you're playing Forest 8, or if you're playing like a token Druid, first of all, you don't even play this guy. But if your budget, I guess it kind of makes it a little bit better, but not necessarily a change that was that big of a deal, to be honest. This is kind of like a weird change. Hunter, Necromantic from 4 mana down to 5. So this is actually pretty good. Or a pretty big change, I should say, because the 5 mana 3/6 really not that exciting, right? It doesn't do anything when it comes out, but its ability is very powerful. 4 mana 3/6. Now we're at the Houndmaster range, and if we know how good Houndmaster is, it gives all your minions rush. Granted, this doesn't do that, but if you think about like Houndmaster, when you play him, he doesn't actually do anything anyway. You get the value like the following turn, or you use him later in the game with minions that then get rush. The same thing follows for this card here. When you play this, nothing really happens immediately, but if you play this later alongside with a Death Rattle, or you play this and then already have a Death Rattle on the board and you can attack with it, you know what I mean? You get a little bit more extra value. The problem is Hunters don't really have like fantastic Death Rattles. Like, the best thing we have right now going for us is our Death Rattle Hunter that runs like Oblivtrons and Mechanical Whelps and like the Spider Bombs. But those, you know, the mechanical whelp and spider bomb normally aren't something like we have 9 lives, we have fireworks tech to like trigger those. So maybe this will be like a possible one of now in the Mech Hunter, that it's like a pretty solid 4-drop. Like worst case scenario, it's a 4 mana 3/6 and it's a pretty good card versus like aggressive style decks just to start beating down small minions. So this was like a really, like, I like that change. Like these are the changes that we like to see right here. Like, still good statted, mana cost is consistent with cards like Houndmaster, and you know, I've never seen someone actually play this card against me, and now there's a possibility that we might see this card being played, which is great. Flark Boom Zuka down from 7 mana from 8. This is a card I still really don't understand. Like, the only thing I can think about with Flark's Boom Zuka is, hopefully this doesn't become a thing, is Mechathune. So you have like not even Mechathune. Like, I don't even fucking know. For some reason I was thinking Mechathune, you pull Mechathune out, but then how do you put Mechathune in your deck to guarantee the Flark's Boom Zuka? You'd have to like Baleful Banquet, which means you have to discount it. If you're discounting the Cthulhu anyway, that means you can just play it and then like kill it with your own spells anyway. So I don't know. This card's just bad. Like, I don't know what, like, they're like, so Flark Boom Zuka is one of those cards that we were calling like one of the trashiest, most horrible legendaries, and it's just like, it's not even like a fun legendary that you can put in your deck and it's like a cheesy win, or it's like a cool card. Like, it's actually just like really bad. So they're like, I guess by the mana cost they're trying to like make it like less bad, so it's still like not an absolute trash legendary. But like, if you have like a piece of shit and you like try to like clean it up, you're just gonna like end up smudging this shit, and then this shit's gonna get like all over the walls and shit. And that's kind of just what happened with Flark Boom Zuka. They just tried to smear it, and they tried to like clean it up, and they just smeared shit everywhere. The Mage, the unexpected result, from 4 mana to 3. So this is actually a pretty sizable change as well. It's a 25% increase, and you know, summoning like at 4 mana, you would summon 2 2-drops, and that's like consistent or considered fair, right? You know, normally 2-drops cost 2 mana, and playing 2 of them costs 4 mana, the unexpected results being 4 mana. The powerhouse of this is if you have spell power down, you can use this, and then you make bigger minions. But the problem is, if you're like, unexpected results in combination with a higher spell power minion requires more than just 4 mana, so you have to get something to stick, and there's not a lot of early game spell damage minions that are going to stick. So bringing it down to 3 mana allows you for like a possible like turn 5 or 6, you know, you play your spell power minion and then you buff it a lot sooner than maybe turn 7 or 8, which was what it would be at 4 mana. So just like, again, just you're able to play the card sooner, and I don't think it's going to make this card actually broken. I mean, it was like, again, this was like one of the not very good cards. Like, you'd randomly generate a card and you wouldn't want really this. It's okay, but it's not like, you know what I mean? So this just makes it a little bit more playable. Again, there's also 2 cards for each class, so hopefully that like breaks down like, why did they only do 2 of these or 2 of these? They did 2 cards of each class. So we're gonna see 2 mages here, 2 druids. So hopefully you guys have been catching that drift. Luna's Pocket Galaxy, huge change. It went from 7 mana to 5. That's big. That's big. So I like that. So big mage. I mean, there's already like a big summoners mage, but like, we remember when we used to like every expansion we'd play like a Luna Pocket Galaxy Mage, and we'd play like the Archvist and the not Archvist. It would pull the random spell from the deck and it could cast it for free. But now Luna's Pocket Galaxy really isn't that expensive, so like maybe we could try to build like a cool little big mage deck. It won't be, like I said, it won't be Summoner's Mage. It'll be like an actual like minion centric big mage with a couple spells. But yeah, that's a pretty big change. It's a legendary that really it's a mage legendary. What we're seeing here is Mage legendary, didn't see play, now it's probably playable. Hunter legendary, literally saw no play, could possibly see play. If you're catching the drift of what's going on here, they're changing cards that basically they fucked up on. Obviously for the nerfs, but that's good. Paladin, they've changed the Christology down from 1 mana from 2. So 2 mana, draw 2 1 attack minions from your deck, to 1 mana, draw 2 1 attack minions from your deck. That's really good draw now. Like, 1 mana, draw 2 cards is insane. Like, the card is now very, very good. This card is like, if you're playing an OTK Paladin, this is like a 2 of now. This card is insane. Glowstone Technician. Okay, so we're getting some cards that recently came out. 6 mana 3/4. It's now a 5 mana 3/4. I'm gonna be honest, this could be like this, I don't think this card is still, I don't think this card's playable still. I think this card is still bad. But if this is 4 mana 3/4 or 4 mana 3/3, now we're talking. The problem is that like the longer the game goes on, most of the time, the more cards you're going to want to be able to play, and just having this card in your hand means you literally don't want to play him until you have like at least 2 dragons in your hand, right? And if you're holding this card, it means you're not playing him, which means it could be something else that you'd want. But it also means that you really don't want to play the other dragons in your hand. For example, you have 2 dragons in your hand, you have this guy. If you play the other dragon, that means you have to draw like another dragon to like make this guy good again. So it's like you have to play this like hand game with yourself. Is like, do I play my dragon now, or do I hold and wait and possibly draw another one and then play him? So like the sooner you can play, like think about this of like a Galvanizer. You know, Galvanizer, you play that card, it's a very early card, you play him, boom, it reduces all the mechs in your hand. This, like, imagine Galvanizer costing 5 mana. It's like, no, by then your hand is gone, like you have no more mechs. So like with this guy costing so much mana, it kind of just like it's still, I don't think this card is still good, but it, you know, I guess they gave it, like, I feel like some of these they maybe like thought about a little bit more than others. Like the fact that they only changed mana cost is interesting. I don't think any of the text was changed in any of the cards. And then like the mana cost is like, I don't know. I figure like it's good that they're buffing cards. Don't get me wrong. I'm very excited for that. But like since this is their first time, we'll give them like a little break. But if they end up buffing cards again and the only thing they choose to do is like reduce mana cost by 1, like that's, in my opinion, that's kind of lazy. We like, you'd want to see more than just that. But again, this is just my opinion. We'll see what happens. All right, extra arms. It went from being a 3 mana, give everything, or not give everything, give a minion +2/+2 and add more arms to your hand. It just did the extra arms. So this is so remember, hold on. So if you use extra arms now for 2 mana, and then it puts more arms in your hand, is more arms 3 mana or 2 mana? I'm assuming it's 2 mana. So this card's actually really, really good now. Extra arms is actually very much so playable. I wonder what we'll see extra arms in. Like, I don't think we're gonna see it in like Wall Priest, because all the minions are already huge. You know what I mean? Why make bigger? Like, they're already big. You don't need to make the minions bigger with cards like this. You'd rather use like combo pieces, draw mechanics, heal, resurrects, stuff like that. But we could see it in some sort of like faster paced, or like maybe some sort of like mid-range priest. We haven't seen any sort of like mid-range or control priest, and this could be actually used in decks like that. So we'll see. But I don't think buffing extra arms is going to make that deck viable. But like extra arms is a really good card that didn't see play. It's a shit ton of value. So the fact that they touched on it is pretty cool. Cloning device, again, a card that no one played, and it was basically because 2 mana generate discover a minion in your opponent's, or copy a minion in your opponent's deck. Really isn't that exciting, but now that it costs 1 mana, you know, it's a little bit more playable, and it actually isn't a bad card. The problem is, like, if you're playing priest and you're like going for like, so when you play cards like cloning device, you're opening up a spot in your deck that could possibly be used for, let's say, a combo or a synergy card, or like some tech card, or just making your deck overall just more efficient. And when you play cards like this and you randomly discover a card in your opponent's deck, you're just hoping your opponent's deck, first of all, is good and that the cards in their deck could possibly work well with cards in your deck. So this is better. Cards like cloning device are better, like cards that are just like randomly generated. This isn't like something you'd actually want to play in your deck, but something like if you randomly got it, it's not a terrible card and it could possibly work out. But I would rather just play a card that I know is good than rather like discovering a card in my opponent's deck and hoping it's good. So again, just the way I think about things. Pogo! Ay! Pogo Hopper reduced from 2 mana to 1. I like it. Like, this guy being 2 mana versus this guy being 1, like there's honestly no reason he should have been 2. Like, when they get out of control, regardless of it being 2 mana or 1 mana, like once these things hit like 10/10s and 12/12s, like it's kind of hard to come back from that. So regardless of them being 1 mana or 2 mana, the only thing that 2 mana does is stops it like in the like earlier stages of the game of being comboed with like cards that actually give you board. So think about it, like as like coin, you know, on turn 3 you could like maybe not 3. All right, let's say 4 and you don't have coin. You like Pogo Hopper and then you play like SI Agent, or you like Pogo Hopper and then you play Evil Miscreant. You know what I mean? It gives you abilities to combo, but like with it being 2 mana, you know, turn 5 is a lot later than turn 4. So just being able to get this guy out sooner is, I think, pretty good. And plus they recognize that Pogo is a cool deck, so I like this change. I love Pogo decks. So we'll actually probably give Pogo a shot after the nerf again. Not that we weren't going to give it a shot anyway. We love playing Pogo decks. And if you haven't seen our Pogo video, you should check it out. It's super fun. Violet Haze down from 2 mana, down from 3. Add 2 random Death Rattle cards to your hand. So obviously in the form of like Death Rattle Rogue, we remember good old Death Rattle Rogue. I don't know about Violet Haze. Like, I don't see the point. Like, no. I got nothing to say. It's just a random card. Stormbringer down from 7 mana to 6. I guess. I mean, like we experimented a little bit with some token shaman, and this card was obviously played, so it worked out fairly well. 7 mana I thought was pretty, like, you know what I mean, like 7 mana seemed pretty fine. So like 6 mana just makes the card slightly better, you know what I mean. It lets you like possibly weave in another minion. It lets you play it earlier on if you're playing some form of like more of aggressive style shaman. So like it's fair. It's not necessarily like this isn't cards that I think, like, when I think of like stuff that should be buffed, that's a cool card, the Stormbringer didn't really fall into that category. Like, I could have pointed out like 20 or 30 cards that I would have liked to see buffed, that are like actually cool cards, and if you buff them, like, it'll make new archetypes. Like, buffing this card isn't going to make some new shaman. Buffing Violet Haze isn't going to make some new rogue. Buffing Pogo is pretty cool, but like buffing Extra Arms and Cloning Gallery, none of these cards are actually going to open up new archetypes. Like, yeah, they're cards that need to be buffed and they could possibly like see some slight play, maybe even some more play, but they're not going to open up like any new deck that we've never seen before. And I think like sometimes when buffing you have to think about that. Thunderhead, he's a 3/6 now. He's a 4 mana 3/6. This 3/6 is something they're honing on. Houndmaster, we had the Necromancer Lady, now we have the Thunderhead. So 4 mana 3/6. These are big statted minions for 4 mana, guys, and his ability is really good too. So obviously Thunderhead got a huge buff, which means what deck has Thunderhead played in? He's played in any sort of elemental overload / control shaman. So all of those decks got a buff. Yeah, this guy's really good now. Like, before he was good. Like, before the card was good, he was just a good card, like really good. Now he's just great. He's fantastic. Spirit Bomb, card that I've never seen anybody play. 2 mana, deal 4 damage to your hero, and it's down to 1 damage, or down to 1 mana. You still do 4 damage to you and your hero. 1 mana, deal 4, take 4. Is that really still worth it? Like, is that like? I don't know. Maybe if there was better cards that like. Maybe if there was a couple more cards that like said if you take damage, you know what I mean, it does this, so you could like Spirit Bomb and then you do some minions that like a combo with taking damage. I know there's one already, I can't think of his name, but yeah, I don't think it's good enough yet. It's just too much damage. Like taking 4 damage is a lot. And plus, like, what if you don't want to, like, now that especially that they buff things to like 3/6s, like dealing 4 damage is like not even that great anymore. Like, if like, you know, dealing a 4 damage to a 5 HP minion, then following up with like a death coil, doable. But now, Dr. Morgan, again, taking pace. We're seeing shitty legendaries trying to get buffed, and again, I don't think these buffs are actually going to change how good these legendaries are. She's from 8 mana to 6. That's so big. That's so big. And she still sucks. Oh my god. Maybe she fits now into like plot twist Warlock, or a possible like big Warlock slightly more. Like, maybe. But like, she still sucks. Like, she's a 6 mana 5/5. Death Rattle swap this. I don't know. Maybe she's better now at 6 mana. Because they kill her and then it swaps, and then like you could pull out something good. So she's it depends what's in the Warlock deck. You know what I mean? It all depends. I actually think she could be good now. She actually 6 mana 5/5, and she swaps, and if you pull like a Karen or like a Mechanical Whelp, even Jiraxis, just like a 3/15. Yeah, she's not bad. Like, she's slightly more playable now. She's actually not trash now. She went from absolute trash to like possibly recyclable, which is like this is a big step up. Warrior, Security Rover, big change. Warrior got like a 6 mana 5 or 2/5 to a 6 mana 2/6. He got 1 more HP, and this card was already annoying as shit already. You know what I mean? So now this card's even more annoying, and like, Will warriors play this card now? Probably not, because they generate enough mechs as is. Like the two mechs that got buffed from warrior aren't mechs that normally warriors play, but mechs that warriors normally generate pretty often. Omega Assembly and the delivery drone hero power. So like, I don't want to go over exactly how like these changes make the cards substantially better. You know, this one now has 4 attack instead of 3, and this has 6 HP instead of 5, so pretty substantial change. And but because the cards aren't really main decked, and I still don't think they'll be main decked after this, the randomly generated factor makes the deck even better. So so they didn't necessarily buff any actual warrior cards that are in the deck, and warrior cards that if they buff, they will be in the deck. They buffed cards that warriors don't even need to play because they randomly generate them anyway, making the deck even better now. So wow, yeah, warrior's probably gonna be really nice. Like, warrior's gonna be lit. And then after that, that's it. I think that is it. That is all the cards. Yep. All right, so woo, 18 buffs. Jeez. Well, there's a couple cards I'm excited about, and there's a couple cards that I'm really iffy about. Like, I'm not really sure, you know, what was the purpose on some of those. I mean, I kind of understand a little bit, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think it'll shake up between the rogue nerfs and the card changes, the meta will shape and shake up a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be anything near like what we saw with like a standard rotation, a new set being released. I don't think it's going to do, you know, earthquake shake up, but it will be like a slight rumble, if that makes sense. All right, guys, with that, a lot of cards. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about some of these, and then maybe a couple cards that that we should be looking forward in the future to buffs, and that would be cool. All right, I want to know your opinion on this. There's a lot of stuff in here, and there's a lot of ways to look at it. So your opinions definitely help me reveal things maybe I didn't think about or I might have missed. So with that, guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, of course, or I'll catch you on the stream. As always, I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.